Thought for the day. Our emotions need to be as educated as our intellect.
Welcome to 7 Minutes for Yourself. I'm Christina Aina, and I'm so glad you've joined me for what I believe will be 7 of the most enriching minutes of your day. Let's take this time to reconnect with ourselves and improve our well-being.
In today's episode of 7 Minutes for Yourself, we're discussing 3 strategies that will help us hone in on our emotional intelligence to become better leaders. Have a listen.
Studies have shown that leaders with high emotional intelligence are better skilled at creating connections and motivating their teams, where people are engaged, inspired, and ultimately perform better. So it goes without saying that employees with strong emotional intelligence skills are more likely to be sought out for opportunities and leadership positions within a company. So while there are countless studies and theories that we could explore, I wanted to keep this really practical and actionable for you. So I have pulled together my top 3 strategies to help you hone your emotional intelligence and position yourself as a leader within your company. First, become better at identifying your own emotional state. This first strategy is around emotional self-identification and self-awareness, which is the ability to know yourself and understand your feelings. But the reality is that we're actually not particularly good at articulating what emotion we're feeling at any given time, which is a problem. This is especially the case where we might emotionally react to something that happened at work. Maybe someone says something that doesn't sit well with us, or there's a high-pressure situation that you're navigating. Or perhaps there's a confrontation or a conflict that you weren't expecting. Rather than just reacting to it, you want to become aware of what happens to your mind and your body in those moments. Now, attachment theory and psychology indicate that how you experience emotions is likely a reflection of early life experiences. Your ability to manage your core emotions like anger, sadness, fear, and joy often depends on the quality and the consistency of the attachment you developed with your primary caretaker as a baby. It's actually quite fascinating when you start looking into this stuff. So having self-awareness of what you're experiencing at any given moment is key to understanding how emotion influences your thoughts and your actions. When I was studying positive psychology, we were introduced to a concept from Stanford's Emma Sapala, who authored the Happiness Track, and it's a way to simply understand the nature of the emotion you're experiencing. I call it the energy plot. You see, all emotions have energy behind them, sometimes high energies like anger or excitement, and sometimes low energy like calmness or sadness. These energy states manifest as being either high intensity or low intensity, and psychologists will usually use these 2 dimensions, positive or negative, and high intensity or low intensity, to distinguish emotions. So what you want to become very good at any given moment is being able to plot your emotions based on these 2 dimensions. First, ask yourself, is it high intensity or low intensity? Then, positive or negative? Another way to think of the positive or negative dimension is to ask yourself, do I feel empowered or not? Once you've done a stock take on your physiology and how you feel, you can do things to help shift you into the quadrant which is most productive for you in that moment, and it's most likely going to be on the positive side. High-intensity positive emotions include excitement, elation, and ecstasy, and low-intensity positive emotions include being calm, serene, and content. High-intensity negative emotions include anger, anxiety, and fear, and low-intensity negative emotions include sadness, boredom, and tiredness. Learning how to first identify your energy states allow you to then self-coach and ask yourself intentional and thoughtful questions like, what made me feel this way? What was I triggered by? This is especially helpful when it's a negative emotion that you're experiencing. When you think in this way, it helps you create immediate distance from whatever the source of the emotion was, and will help you both understand what may have led you to that emotion and help you mentally move into a more positive state. And remember, there's no such thing as good or bad emotion. There are only good or bad reactions to your emotions. 2. Seek to understand. When it comes to emotional intelligence, a large part beyond us understanding ourselves is learning to identify and respond to the emotional states of others. But given we're not telepathic, how do we actually do this? Well, what I encourage my clients to do is to seek to understand those they're interacting with. And what this means in practice is 2 things. First, you want to listen to what they're saying. Not just what's coming out of their mouth, but their physical expression, their tone, and all of the nonverbal cues that they're using. These give you an insight into what others are feeling and how their emotional state might change from moment to moment. And second, ask thoughtful questions. Be curious. Instead of just taking something at face value, ask them, what led you to make that decision? Or what was the thought process that you went through to come up with that idea? This allows you to go behind what's being said to uncover the drivers of motivation, and it can really unlock where they're coming from or how they're feeling. This helps you to be able to put yourself in their shoes, taking on their perspective and seeing the world through their eyes. This is huge, and it enables you to not only connect on a far deeper level with people, but to actually offer help and support to those who need it. A big part of seeking to understand is putting all judgment and prejudice aside and being present. And 3, focus on relationships. Once you're better aware of your own emotional states and those of others by paying attention to their nonverbal cues and tapping into where they might be coming from and what might motivate them, the next step is to focus on how you work with others socially and professionally so that you can make your relationships more effective and enjoyable. Now, there are a couple of pieces worth mentioning here. You want to become aware of how you actually use nonverbal communication. If someone says something that you disagree with, do you immediately show it in your expression? If you're suspicious of something or someone, does that shine through on your face? The emotional part of your brain is always on, so even if you try to ignore it, others might be picking up on it. You want to be aware of what you're projecting because you may unintentionally be communicating something that you don't want to.
That concludes today's episode of 7 Minutes for Yourself. Please take a moment to rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts. Today and every day with your kiddo is a gift. Enjoy it. Thanks for tuning in.